And today, I'm going a little further, and I'm going to take Francesca off the network entirely. So you won't see her on any of the TYT shows going forward.
Ana Casparian and Francesca Fiorentini have been at odds for quite some time now. As Ana Casparian has shifted toward a more pragmatic perspective, she has influenced Jenk Uygur to do the same. However, Francesca Fiorentini, who either currently works or previously worked with the Young Turks, took issue with this shift, disapproving of their movement away from the left-wing echo chamber. As a result, Francesca Fiorentini began openly criticizing Ana Casparian, Jenk Uygur, and others at the Young Turks who aligned with Ana's stance. Now, Ana's remarks about Francesca appear to have placed Jenk Uygur in a position where he must choose sides. Naturally, given Ana Casparian's long-standing tenure, greater influence, and financial contributions to the network, Jenk is likely to stand by her over Francesca. Let's first take a look at what Ana Casparian had to say about Francesca Fiorentini, followed by Jenk Uygur's response regarding Francesca's departure from the Young Turks.
The issue is this mass deportation camps, the gulags have begun, etc. Now look, I think that the clip that Francesca's using is misleading and totally out of context, but that's okay. But I know that—
No, it's not okay. No, it's not okay. That dishonesty is not okay.
Yeah,
but continue. Go ahead.
I hear you. I hear you. I don't mean to.
But she's getting the likes that she wants, right? Otherwise, I mean, who would pay attention to anything she's doing if she's not attacking TYT? But anyway, continue, Jay.
Yeah. All right. So
this type of situation has occurred repeatedly with Ana Casparian and Francesca Fiorentini, where they engage in intense exchanges, clearly displaying a strong animosity toward each other. This ongoing tension ultimately led Young Turks to create the video we're discussing here.
Recently, Francesca Fiorentini asked us at TYT to take her podcast, Habituation Room, off the network, and we happily agreed to that. And today, I'm going a little further, and I'm going to take Francesca off the network entirely. So you won't see her on any of the TYT shows going forward. So I want you guys to know why I'm doing that and how this whole situation isn't really about Francesca. It's about TYT, our community, and what we stand for. And so we're for open minds and open hearts. And so I want all of you to know that, and I want to build a community that believes in that and invites people in that believe in the same things. And by the way, if you don't believe in the same things and you say, no, I have a strict ideology and I have no open mind about that, no problem. There are tons of shows out there for you guys. So first of all, we've had some disagreements. I certainly have with some of the far left, but I think they've been relatively small. But if you think that they've been large, no problem. So they've been around the issue of crime. Did crime rise between 2019 and 2023? Well, that's a fact. It did. But it's okay. We could have different interpretations of it. That's not an issue at all. We certainly are against police abuse, and we've fought against it. I would argue at least as much as any show on the planet, and perhaps a lot more. And I take great pride that Benjamin Crump, among others, said that Trayvon Martin would not have gotten anywhere near the national coverage that he did if it wasn't for the Young Turks. So nevertheless, we could have disagreements about specific policy issues, and we do on slogans and framing, etc. For example, defund the police, Latinx. These are normal disagreements within any community. And I certainly would never want to shut that down because we're, again, for open minds. And of course, we've had some disagreements on the issue of transgender rights.
Francesca Fiorentini is part of a group of people who don't tolerate disagreements. She's similar to figures like David Pacman, Destiny, and Hassan, individuals who expect everyone to stay within the left-wing echo chamber. If you step outside of that, they don't accept you. They distance themselves from you, and you're no longer part of the group. This creates a complicated situation because Jenk Uygur and Ana Casparian co-own the Young Turks, with Jenk Uygur holding a larger share. So technically, they are Ana's bosses. This places her in a tricky position where she can't just reject or isolate them. She'd have to quit or get fired from the Young Turks, which eventually happened. It was something many of us saw coming. From a long way off, I personally thought it would happen with Ana Casparian a while ago. However, then Jenk Uygur started to follow the same thought patterns that Ana Casparian had embraced. It seems like he's walking in her footsteps, which may be because he genuinely had a shift in perspective, or maybe because he sees it as the most profitable route. What I find interesting is how this shift seems to have occurred after the 2024 election. On election night, Jenk was on Patrick Bet-David's podcast, visibly upset, even shedding tears over Donald Trump's win. Now he appears to be aligning with the same ideas Ana Casparian has. It feels a bit too convenient to me, but who knows? Maybe he's being sincere.
Just say quickly what my position is, because a lot of people outside of the network have been misleading you about this. So I'm for 100% constitutional rights for transgender Americans, because why? They're Americans, just like the rest of us, and they should have the same exact rights as us. They should be protected in bathrooms. They should definitely be allowed to serve in the military. And I happen to think that they should be allowed to play, transgender girls should be allowed to play in girls sports in high school. Now, my position on that is not overall popular in the country. I understand that, and I have a strategy for hopefully how to win on that in the long run. But I don't believe that they should be mandated to play in college and professional level. I think the league should get to make those decisions on their own. I think that that is a small disagreement. Obviously, others think that's a giant disagreement, but that's, again, not the issue here. I think what the issue is when others, among the issues, is when others say, only my opinion is the correct one, the moral one. Everyone who disagrees with me is unintelligent, immoral, collaborator, etc. Well, we'll get to the specifics on Francesca in a second. I'm saying that generally. And that they speak for the left. Well, let's find out if they do speak for the left. This is a little bit of Francesca, a little bit of Emma Vigeland from Majority Report, and spliced in is the actual facts about what the American people think, and interestingly, what Democratic voters think. First, let's watch this.
I'm a big Messi fan, but let me just explain this.
Answer my question. Would you allow him, if he said I'm a woman, to play in the American women's national team?
You're using the wrong pronoun.
Yes, right now. Hell yeah, are you kidding me?
Transgender female athletes in women's sports, only 18% of the country says that they should be, in fact, allowed to participate in women's sports.
Your argument is really bad on this, and you're out of your depth. You're correct that trans women should be able to compete in women's sports, but your argument for it is just scientifically and factually incorrect. I'm actually not bad about this. I'm 100% right on this. I don't give a the scientific explanations. People, if they identify as a woman, get to compete in sports. If that's not fair in the short term for a variety of little competitions, I don't give a
And I mean, my goodness gracious, 79%. You rarely get 79% of the country to agree on anything.
because the societal interest of including trans people in society trumps stupid competition. Full stop. So I'm right about this. You're wrong about this.
You'd let Lionel Messi play in the women's national football team and destroy
Hell yeah,
women's football
welcome.
forever. You'd let Usain
It'd be
Bolt.
very difficult
Hang on.
to get a ticket, which would suck.
I want to do a little checklist here. You'd let Usain Bolt compete as a sprinter in the American women's Olympic team.
Yes.
Okay. You would
Yes.
let Floyd Mayweather compete as a boxer in the women's American.
The reality is as absurd as it sounds coming from Francesca Fiorentini, and we all know it's absurd. Anyone with common sense can see that this is a ridiculous statement. She doesn't actually believe it. If she truly cared about women's sports, or sports in general, she wouldn't say things like this. Personally, I don't care much about women's sports, to be honest. The only time I really care is when it involves combat sports, where people can actually get hurt. Imagine how funny it would be if Messi just identified as a woman and then dominated the entire league. He could play 1v1 in every match and probably destroy the competition, and that would be pretty hilarious. But the truth is, Francesca Fiorentini doesn't genuinely believe what she's saying. She knows this is what she's expected to say to stay in line with the left-wing narrative. She understands that saying things like this helps her make money. It's all about audience capture. The more woke she becomes, the more money she makes, and the larger her following gets. She's fully aware of this dynamic, so she'll continue down this path, sticking to these views because it benefits her financially. That's just the way it is.
Boxing
Yeah.
team.
Opposing them in women's sports. You get 67% of Democrats, so 2/3 there. You get 64% of independents, so you get about 2/3 there.
So I'm right about this. You're wrong about this.
Okay, generally speaking, if you want to say that you're right about something, sure, everybody has their own opinions, and it's their opinions. That's why they think that they're right. It's another thing to say that you speak for the left. As you just saw there, 67% of Democrats have a position that is actually to the right of mine. I say that trans girls should be allowed to play in girls' sports in high school. 67% of Democrats say no, not allowed in any women's sports. So I'll work on my Democratic brothers and sisters, and I'll try to get them to my position on that. Nothing wrong with disagreements. And if Emma, Francesca, and others can convince 79% of the nation that is opposed to that to come over to that side, fantastic. Happy to have it. Okay. So I think where the issue comes in is when things get personal. So we got 3 rules, generally speaking, on air here at TYT that are relatively bright lines. So one is, and I say relative, I'll explain that in a second. One is no lying. 2 is no threats of physical violence. And number 3 is don't denigrate personally the other hosts in the network over and over and over again. And I say relatively bright lines because it should be relatively easy to follow, but I get that people have disagreements about, hey, what's a lie? Are what they say about crime stats a lie or not? No, I'm not going to nitpick that.
But that's not what Francesca Fiorentini is doing, and it's not what people like her or David Pakman are doing either. They're not engaging with objective facts. Instead, they're rejecting them. They take objective statistics, like the ones Emma Vigeland presented, and dismiss them saying, I don't care about the science. What I say matters more. It's not about the research or data. It's about what fits their own emotions. The left-wing echo chamber shapes their views, and that's the reality. I'm not glad that Francesca Fiorentini is facing financial trouble, but I am glad that the Young Turks have taken a stance. They've made it clear they won't align with those who not only disagree, but are also unwilling to engage in open, respectful discussion or accept being proven wrong. Francesca Fiorentini isn't open to being challenged. You can present her with facts, but she'll just say, no, I don't agree with that. My emotions say otherwise, so I'm right, and your facts are wrong. What do you all think about Jenk Uygur and Ana Casparian having Francesca Fiorentini fired from the Young Turks? Let me know your thoughts in the comments about this whole Jenk and Ana versus Francesca situation.